Hello, Dola. I hope you are very well. Thank you for being today with us. I would like to ask you about COVID-19, how this pandemic affected your life from the last 2 years.
Thank you so much for your question, Pato. Basically, COVID is now became a new things or new disease for us, which actually affected our life from many ways. I can give a real example like that. During this pandemic, my sisters lost his job, and my family get financially breakdown. And beside this, I have seen that people who are living around me, the rate of child violence and domestic violence has increased a lot. People who are getting mentally frustrated, they're beating their wives, their children, and this is all the stuff have affected COVID actually our life.
Thank you, Dola. It's clear that COVID have affected the life of everyone. What about the others, your friends, your peers in school? How their life have been affected by COVID-19?
As I mentioned, like that, the rate of child violence and the rate of like child abuse has increased a lot. So they are also become so much mentally frustrated.
Thank you, Dola. Do you remember last year when COVID started, we did a research, was co-researched by two adults, professionals, and children, young people. You were one of the co-researchers. So can you tell us a bit about this process, how this process supported the understanding of COVID-19 at that time?
So when I heard that we are going to do a research on children's time since COVID-19, so when I asked my peers or child from leaders that we are going to do a research in a global platform, so what do you think? How we can contribute it? So Mario is one of our helper to help us to do this research. So he sends us some kind of question. So when we do this research through online, because we used to work in a face to face, so that was the first time we used the online materials to ask the questions to my peers through the online meetings, Zoom calls, or something like that. So it was so much exciting when I asked my peers that how COVID is affecting our life, or what kind of stuff we are doing right now. So they also become curious that during this pandemic nobody is talking with them, but we went to them and we talk with them to know about the personal lives.
Thank you. That was a very interesting report. I know that you are an activist for ending child marriage in your country. You have been very successful. Have this priority changed with COVID-19, or do you think still child marriage is a priority within the pandemic context?
Actually, the during this pandemic, as we are talking about child marriage, is increased more than the previous one, because before the pandemic, we see that the rate of child marriage was decreasing, the rate of child marriage was just slowing. But when the pandemic come, people are thinking that it is too. They are not able to like bear the cost of their girl child, or they are not able to like bear the cost of their education. So they thought that they are also insecure about the safety. Then they think that if they give child marriage, so that they are going to get rid of their burden. So we have noticed that the rate of child marriage has increased a lot before the pandemic. So this is what of the most bad thing has happened in our lives or in our community or in our country. Bangladesh is one of them where the rate of child marriage has increased a lot.
Thank you, Dola, for that answer. Very important. And now another question is about any other issues that affecting children and young people in Bangladesh during this time of COVID-19.
I see. I think during this pandemic, one of the most big thing has affected our life, which is mentally frustration or mentally depression. Because when I'm staying at home or when I have nothing to do, it's really pushed them in a dark side. And beside that, we have noticed that the rate of cyberbullying has increased a lot. People are just sending some kind of anonymous messages, or they're trying to send some kind of inappropriate messages. So two things has increased or affected children's life. One is mental frustration, and second one is cyberbullying, which makes us so much mentally break down.
And my last question, Dola, do you have any suggestion for other children and young people who are experiencing the effect of COVID-19, how they can change the situation, what the actions they can take?
They can connect with the policymakers through online, because policymakers has the power to change the world, or they can change their own country. So in Bangladesh, we have seen that our whole government has give focus on COVID-19, but what about child violence? What about child marriages? So if is it possible, the young people who are still not suffering the COVID-19, they should connect with the policy makers to ensure about also the others problem, not only give the focus on COVID-19, so that they can face some kind of more problems in the future, because COVID is now become a current situation. One day it will gone, but child marriage or child violence or other social problems is a long process. So we need to give focus on that.
Thank you so much, Dola. These are all the questions. Thank you for your contribution today.